Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the evolveIT multi-language webinar for IBMi. All right, we're going to start out with a poll question. The question is, there are a lot of different primary development languages. Which ones do you use? And I see there's entries there. All right, looks like 17% COBOL, lots of RPG, 50%. PHP and JavaScript has a good showing, and then lots of other languages. So thank you very much. That's helpful, and we'll continue on. My name is Roger Hammer. I'm the Director of Product Development Services here at CM First Group. I also happen to be the product owner for CM evolveIT. We're going to talk about some challenges of legacy IBMi applications. We're going to dig in a little bit to the evolveIT architecture, and then we're going to cover the different languages that are handled by CM evolveIT. Those are LANSA, Plex, CA2E, or Synon, some people call that, Cobalt and RPG. And then we're going to complete a demonstration of the Cobalt and RPG. If you're interested in the other languages, we have presented a webinar there, and there is a video available. All right, so our company, CM First Group, we're headquartered in Austin, Texas. We have a number of partners, as you can see there, and we work with lots of different companies in the IBMi and IBM-Z space. In fact, I'll mention that CM evolveIT began as a mainframe IBM-Z tool with COBOL, and we've now expanded that into the IBMi space for these different languages. Okay, so there are a number of different challenges for the IBMi applications. Key ones being maintaining these applications, keeping them going day to day, bug fix, expanding them, the capabilities, and then also many people want to modernize them in a number of different ways. So what we find is about 90% of IT budgets are spent on maintaining applications. And so that's a lot, and that takes up a lot of folks' time. So, backlogs can be expanded. Many of these companies in the IBMi space have smaller teams, and building new capabilities is not always the first on the agenda when there's maintenance work to do. Also, a lot of the time is spent, as we said, in maintenance, and a lack of modern code understanding tools really can slow development and cause a lot of extra QA cycles. The other part here is people, retirements and finding new resources, finding new folks to do development in the IBMi space can be difficult. And obviously retirements can have a big impact on the ability to continue to maintain these applications. Finding new developers can be difficult, and even when you do find those developers, it can take quite a while to get them up to speed and become an SME to replace someone who's retired or left. The other part of this is it's really simplifying the analysis, being able to understand these systems quickly so that bug fix or new development or maintenance, or modernization can go on. The DevOps cycles, particularly where if there was a missed change where code wasn't found or a change area wasn't found in the analysis, can of course add a lot of time and effort. Also, of course, if there's a nasty bug that was missed and found in production, that has a big impact and can impact your customers and also sales. These systems are pretty complex. They've been through lots of change over many years. There's many times a lot of technical debt, a lot of complexity, and makes it difficult to accurately analyze across an application set to make changes. And of course, documentation usually is very old or out of date. And so, finding and scoping projects can be difficult and inaccurate. From a modernization perspective, we might want application statistics. We might want to know what are all the different components within our application, how much source code is there. You know, I need documentation, right? I need to be able to review and understand the application with documentation, architectural, detailed, and relationship. And of course, how can I find the components maybe that have been left behind that are really no longer used within an application and don't require any modernization. So here's CM evolveIT, our ecosystem. We have, as it says there, a number of source repository and model types as inputs. Other kinds of tools can work with evolveIT through APIs, and we can provide component connectivity and business rules and security kinds of capabilities. All right, let's have poll question 2. Do you use impact analysis tools today? All right, there it is. So I use the following impact analysis tools. You use built-in IBMi tools only. You use Eclipse, rational extensions, use third-party analysis tools, Hawkeye, etc., or you don't have any impact analysis tools other than your own search capability or inside your development environment. All right, so 20% built-in IBMi tools. Nobody's using Eclipse or rational extensions at this point. Third-party analysis, a few people are using those. And then 60% don't have any specialized impact analysis tools. So I hope today we can truly help you understand what an analysis tool can do for you and how it can make a big difference in your environment. Okay, we'll continue with the presentation. So let's talk about core capabilities of CM evolveIT. First off, we mentioned before, languages that we handle for an IBMi is CA Plex, CA2E, LANSA, COBOL and RPG. So for the CA Plex and LANSA, as I mentioned before, we have completed a webinar for this, and we'd be glad to share that video with you. But you'll see as you open the web view, dashboard trending, code statistics, metrics, module counts, lots of really helpful top level application level information. Then we have menu and function relationships. This is top-down analysis, the ability to search and find menu or functions, all those areas, and then view all the relationships and build diagrams and reports and export those within that UI. Then we have bottom-up approach, identifying table usage, you know, a data-centric analysis. You know, how are the tables and columns used, whether it's batch or online. So focusing on that bottom-up approach, which many times I find is a high need because folks are making changes based on data that needs to change. And then we have a custom code search. So we can search across all the code within the applications, including the action diagrams, finding code across millions of lines of code, and using advanced regular expression search capabilities in order to do that. And then we have an object browser. So the object browser allows you to build diagrams from starting points, whether that's a particular function or a menu or whatever it might be, and then you can build the relationships and then you can modify those diagrams, you can save them, you can export them to JSON or XML, and then of course you can always drill down and see a source view of a particular element within that diagram. And then you have data flow impact analysis, you know, that bottom-up view, being able to search across the code base, you know, data lineage kind of perspectives, reviewing paths with the source impacts, tables, views, and then of course crossing boundaries and understanding of persistent storage. All right, a little bit of a teaser here for you. we do have more in-depth analysis capabilities coming for CA2E. And if you're interested, best place to see that early is in the CA Plex 2E conference coming up here in October. And you can go to plex2e.com to get more information on that. So a few slides here, usage of constants, calculations, field usage and functions, action diagram is text, parameter mapping. So you're starting to see some diagrams there in the background. Now you have an action diagram with a full code diagram. Very helpful view of an action diagram to understand visually how it actually executes. All right, let's talk about COBOL and RPG for IBMi. So first, some of the aspects are secret sauce. Key point is automated discovery. So the process of building a database and parsing your source code is what we call discovery. It's an automated process that uses deep source code parsing. And then, of course, the ability to use that information with modern user interfaces in order to get automated analysis results that are literally can be seconds instead of hours or even days. So first off, just a quick view here of our fully automated parsing approach. This is our discovery monitor. So we're running here a process of parsing all the components and building a database. Key point of getting started for using evolveIT. And then we have in the user interface, the inventory viewer. So this starting point for inventory viewer shows all the different component types, allows you to select and search for components, to filter on those components and filter those views. You can see here a view with a number of programs selected, and we can see all the relationships to the files and views. And so the ability to not only select one relationship, but then being able to then identify a second step in that relationship, maybe selecting all the views that are related and then finding those view relationships. So of course, diagrams and text reports. Diagrams are a key part of evolveIT. They visually give you a better understanding of how things fit together rather than searching or scanning and looking for those relationships. And these are literally right click, and you'll see those in just a little bit when I provide the demonstration. And you can see here we've got a few tables and program call tree in this view. And then we have full code view. So this is an individual component where we've opened up source code, and we can actually search within that source code and identify all the locations of any particular element within that source code. All right, let's get started with the demonstration of evolveIT. Bring up my server here, and you can see now live, I've got evolveIT up and running. We have both COBOL and RPG in this application set, this database. And so I'm going to click find here to find. I've already entered a particular program or function name, and we're going to find that and select it. And you can see that it's been selected. And then I'm going to filter the view based on that, just one item related. But as soon as I drop down to diagrams, I can do this call tree forward. And now that I have a call tree forward view, I can begin to analyze and understand how these relationships work. And you saw how quickly it was rather than scanning or looking for those relationships through the code, that these are all pre-built and available to you to interact with at any time. All right. Next, I'm going to expand this. And so any diagram, you can actually create an expansion. And I'm going to go in here and add, and it looks like I've already selected it here. So this is our diagram builder selection tool. So we can select any relationship we want. And I'm adding tables and views to this. And we'll stick with this one. All right, so then I'll step down to the data flow right. And we got our table and views. And let's add those in. All right, so from an initial diagram of a call from a top level program down to a couple levels of subprograms, now we're able to add the table information, both input and output. So we see those tables at the top are input to this program, and then down to the bottom arrows pointing to the tables, indicating the rights to those tables. So very helpful information in order to see not only the call tree, but the data that's related to this call tree. All right, we're going to step into a slightly different view, more of a a bottom-up view. So I'm going to go back to my inventory viewer, and I'm going to enter here, and I've already got this built, so for speed. And so I've got a few views that I'm going to search for, and you can see I've got 3 of those. And so now that they're selected, I can, of course, filter on them and see what's related, but I can also build a diagram. And let's take a look. Okay. So interesting, right? We have a table, 3 different views, and one of those views is used by the 3 different programs that were related. So we can see all those relationships, exactly where the views and tables are related, and the programs that use them. So from here, we're going to begin with a, let me go here, and let's take a quick look at metrics. So each of these COBOL modules has a metrics report attached to it, and it has things like the number of statements, the number of data definitions, complexity measures, all these different elements at the total program level and also at the paragraph level. So you have all that detailed information that's helpful both in understanding the complexity, particularly in maybe looking at change, modifying these, and looking at building estimates for those changes. All right, let's go dig into a particular program. Let's just open this one. So I'm going to go down here to full code view, and it's going to take a moment to open. There it is. And then I have the ability to adjust my sidebar, go to document search, and then I have the ability to search. So I'm going to enter some search criteria. And we're going to search for this indicator, but only the if conditions where that indicator is used. Oops, let me do this. Find all, and I've got an error in my entry. Probably an extra space there. Oh, let me use the regular expressions there, so I need to turn that on. Now I've got 12 results, and I also have this list of results, so I can actually select each one and go directly to the location and source code where that result was found. So if you're familiar with regular expressions, you will realize that and already know that you can do very complex searches within these views of source and find precisely what you're looking for. Okay, let's do another search. Now, the other thing to realize is that this source code is live. And what I mean by that is it's got links in it. And so I'm going to look for, I'll go back to the top here to make sure I find it. I'm going to look for a paragraph. Oops, sorry, it changed back to me there. Okay, so we found a paragraph. So once I have this paragraph, then I can interact with this information and ask, for example, for statement execution. So now I have for this paragraph an actual visual statement execution. And if I turn on my show code option, I can actually step through this and look at all the code steps, including decisions within this particular paragraph. Useful to understand and look at how the code, particularly those decisions, will impact the execution paths within this particular program. Okay, so one more thing here to do is I'm just going to go in here and select all the programs. So one of the things that can be useful is the ability to get a report. And you can build these reports just as we build diagrams in all the different ways that evolveIT is used. In this case, though, I'm going to build a report here that is a program calls program. Okay, and so now I have a list of every program, the list of programs that are calling it or called by, and then for the second one here, we've got calls program. So this program will call each of these, and also again, calls program. And so whether it's called or it's being called, all those different results are there. And then we have the ability, we can export this just by clicking and creating a name for a CSV, and we can get a CSV result showing all those relationships one-to-one between each of the calling programs and the called programs. Again, this information is interactive, so all of the menus are available anywhere you see the blue text, and you can access anything that is needed. Okay, I'm going to go back to my slides now. I have to make an adjustment here, swap that out. Okay, so we've completed that demonstration, and I will remind you, if you have specific questions, go to the GoToWebinar app there and enter your questions so we can answer those in just a few moments. Okay, just to recap the demonstration, we've got a highly automated, accurate analysis for COBOL and RPG. We can analyze all the relationships and do full impact analysis. We have support for hybrid environments. Like I said, we've got all the different types of languages, and in this case, RPG and COBOL together. It will detect the interactions with your DB schema information. It also can identify unused or outdated code and tables, so we can make selections there to identify not only what is used, but then reverse the view so that we see what's not connected and is not used within the applications. And then, of course, gives you a common point of reference, and this is a key point. Having visualizing diagrams to share within your company, to management, to your business analysts, really helps everyone to communicate better about what's happening. For example, you know, as we look at defining new projects, many times management will call a developer and say, hey, give us an analysis, give us an understanding of what it's going to take to make these changes. And having the ability to show, you know, whether it's CA2E or Plex or LANSA or RPG or COBOL, showing all the components involved and having the data rather than, you know, analyzing and kind of giving it your best guess and understanding, but having the pictures, diagrams, and reports directly from the source code can make a big difference in the accuracy of your estimates and also in the understanding of that information up and down the organization. Okay, I mentioned earlier, get your questions into the GoToMeeting, and we'll be taking those in just a moment. Actually, I'm sorry, let's take them now. Get my order correct here. So we have questions. Let me take a quick look to see if we have any questions entered. Okay, so one question is, how do I get evolveIT in place? How does it work? So one thing I didn't bring up earlier is evolveIT is actually a Windows-based product. And so it's going to run on a Windows server. So we bring the source components or models into that server. We run that discovery process and build databases that you then will use to analyze and understand all of your source code. Is there additional information? Yes, we can provide you with a number of pieces of information. You can certainly go to our website, or you can contact us at info@cmfirstgroup.com and request additional information that maybe you want to share with your company, with your management, or to help determine how you would use evolveIT. Of course, we can do individual sessions with you and your company to answer specific questions that you may have, but I would encourage you to email us there at info@cmfirstgroup.com. There's a question there, why IBM chose COBOL programming rather than the other programming languages. So I'm not quite sure I understand that question. I will say that obviously COBOL has been around a long time and has been used to build many applications, both on the mainframe and the IBMi, and along with on the RPG, which is used in many places. And it sounds like we have actually a lot of RPG folks on the call. So both of those are covered and work in evolveIT, and having that ability to understand those languages and how they fit together can be extremely helpful to your analysis and communication processes. All right, I don't see any other questions at this point. As I mentioned, if you have further questions, please contact us or go to the website, cmfirstgroup.com, and we'll be glad to provide whatever's needed. All right, last poll question, Mint. So we'll bring up the Mint poll question and give you a chance to enter your, so M, let's meet. I'd like a meeting. I'd like to introduce you to someone else. Please add me to your monthly newsletter. And then T, you should talk more about this topic. Okay, give you a few moments to complete your entries. I will also mention at the end of this webinar, you will have, if you'll wait just a moment, you will have a very short survey that pops up. If you'd take 30 seconds or a minute there and answer those questions in the survey, that would be very helpful. We appreciate that. All right. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you joining the webinar today, and we hope that seeing CM evolveIT has been very helpful to you, and we'd be glad to, as I said, talk to you more about how you could use and even try out CM evolveIT in your organization. Thank you very much.